Although he is no Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. is still the highest paid actor in the Marvel Universe. But even now, after he has retired his Iron Man suit, he's still a very rich man, and we're talking $300 million rich. Here's everything we know about how Robert Downey Jr. has gotten his $300 million net worth from and whether he has used it to write history. Before he became Iron Man and Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. starred in movies like Game 6, Ally McBeal, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and Tropic Thunder. These roles won him a Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination. But even then, Robert Downey Jr. wasn't something anyone would call poor. However, his ability to command blockbuster salaries has only gone uphill in recent years. After a string of drug-related arrests, rehab visits, and several PR blunders took over his career in the early 2000s, the actor staged the most epic comeback Hollywood has ever seen, and he came out with Iron Man. Having appeared in 8 MCU films thus far, RDJ has pocketed around $500,000 for his initial part as Tony Stark. Although you might not think anything of this number compared to what he made in the later films, RDJ was still considered a risky hire at the time of filming, so being offered this salary was a huge deal. It is also rumored that he would take a percentage of the profits from every Marvel film he has appeared in. According to The Verdict, the estimated deal was for 0.25%, which calculates to about $2 million that RDJ took home for his Iron Man debut. He then went on to film his second Iron Man movie, and although RDJ barely negotiated a salary higher than what it cost to create his original Iron Man suit, which was estimated at $325,000. But when it came to filming Iron Man 2, it is reported that the actor got a whopping $10 million salary. Of course, since his growing popularity had made him one of the best actors in Hollywood, he was now able to negotiate a much larger percentage of the profits, which according to Money Nation was estimated to be about 2.5% of the $623 million gross profits this time around. So, as estimated by The Verdict, his Iron Man 2 payday was about $13 million. He also gained significant cash for Marvel-related products, such as his voice role in the Iron Man video game. And then came The Avengers. By 2011, Robert Downey Jr. was rolling in cash. The Verdict explained that the actor probably had the same pay rate moving forward as he worked with lawyers to sign a profitable film for the next 6 movies following Iron Man 2. So, if we use this logic to calculate his earnings, it's likely that RDJ earned $10 million for his time here, plus another $29 million in movie profits. 2 years later, and people couldn't wait for another MCU film. This is where Iron Man 2 released and became the series' most profitable debut to date. It also became one of the few movies to earn $1 billion in under 1 month. This paid off big time for RDJ, who ended up earning another $32 million that year. His next project was Avengers: Age of Ultron, that made a cool $1.4 billion in profits worldwide. Once again, Robert Downey Jr. was credited first among other notable actors like Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, and Chris Evans. According to Forbes, between 2013 and 2014, RDJ's net worth climbed to $75 million, despite the fact that the sequel to the first Avengers movie was one of the most expensive movies ever made in history. Reports estimate that the company spent $300 million to create the action-packed flick. Then came the Captain America Civil War, in which RDJ's role was mostly unplanned. It was said that Stark's presence in the movie would pay off in later films. By now it was clear how needed RDJ was. So a bit of back and forth, and Downey Jr.'s bank account had $63 million added for this. Not to mention the $5 million bonus since Civil War was more successful than the first Captain America film. Then we saw Robert Downey Jr. in Spider-Man: Homecoming, which was quite a last-minute endeavor for the actor. After Marvel secured a deal with Sony in 2015 for the character rights to use Spider-Man, RDJ's 8-minute appearance in the film seemed quite inevitable. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the actor pocketed roughly $15 million from this film. In other words, about $1.3 million per minute. Even while having a slow year, Robert Downey Jr. was a top-performing actor on the Forbes list, earning $48 million in 2017. Then came Avengers: Infinity War. To say it was a box office sensation would be an understatement. All it took for the movie to top $1 billion in profit were just 11 days, so you can only imagine how much the film's success could have helped boost RDJ's net worth now and in the future. While it's impossible to pinpoint the exact number RDJ made from this massive blockbuster, a Bleeding Cool report suggested that he had secured $200 million for Infinity Wars and Avengers 4. And when you consider what he takes home in film profits alone, Robert Downey Jr.'s payday climbs even higher. So exactly how much has Robert Downey Jr. made from Marvel overall, and has he wasted his millions? Let's find out. According to Money Nation, the Marvel movies are worth more than the country of Belize. While the nation of Belize is worth more than $18 million, Marvel movies have earned over $21 billion in all-time sales. So has Robert Downey Jr. failed to use his status for good and wasted all his money? Well, RDJ is expected to exit the MCU following the Infinity War sequel. However, it's likely that he will be dripping in wealth when he does. According to Verdict, the estimated value he's made from Marvel is about $200 million, which comes to a whopping $240 million considering the Infinity War's contributions. The actor sure has left behind his days of struggling to find work. Moreover, Robert Downey Jr. doesn't seem to be the only actor profiting quite handsomely from Marvel's success. Other actors and actresses such as Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson have all taken advantage of the sizable boost in their overall net worth. Scarlett Johansson's success in The Black Widow made her the top-grossing actor for 2016, giving birth to rumors that she will be earning her own solo movie as The Black Widow, which of course comes with a heavy $25 million payday. Not to mention Chris Hemsworth, who has also capitalized on the same type of deal with an expanded story for Thor. Once his Marvel contract ends, it could also be the end of Thor, unless a fourth one is in the works. According to many rumors, there could be a possible movie coming in the future for him. Even Chris Evans managed to get a sizable increase from his $300,000 Captain America salary to now being paid the big bucks, estimated to be about $2 million for his work in Avengers. So does it seem like Robert Downey Jr. wasted his millions? We don't think so. The way RDJ leveraged the popularity of his first Iron Man role in order to secure a higher pay for himself will surely go down in history. Not only did he manage to break box office earnings records, but he also scored a few extra cameos for himself that were not originally included in his acting contract. RDJ still has yet to discuss what his future post-MCU will look like, saying at the Infinity War premiere, "The present is this moment of glory for all of us, and the future? That is always uncertain. But looking at these friends behind me," he said as he turned back to his co-stars, "it seems like things might brighten up after all." Marvel movies are set to continue earning Robert Downey Jr. significant residual income, but if he continues his acting career, then his going rate will be higher than anything we can imagine. And for good reason, considering what he has done for the MCU and Hollywood itself. Going down in history as the first person to have used his popularity to turn his net worth from zero to a whopping $300 million is no easy feat. And he did so while giving major hits that went on to make the entire box office collapse. So is it okay to say he pretty much wasted his millions? No. He created history with them and created a model that would be hard for any actor to live up to. And that's a wrap on how Robert Downey Jr. wasted $300 million. What do you think about Robert Downey Jr.'s road to success? Did he have any impact from his $1 million net worth? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. See you in the next one.